So hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Nice to see you all again. So I'm starting a little video series of how I make my journals out of hardback books. So a lot of people generally add papers into their books, whereas I work directly with a book. So yeah, so today is part one on how to basically prep your book and what kind of book you need and so on and so forth. So I've got a children's encyclopedia. It is amazing, really nice hardback book to work with. So the main thing I always think of is when you're choosing your book, I like big fat books, but that's just me. You're going to want a book that is made up of signatures. So signatures are basically a bunch of papers that are all stitched together. So it's not glued into the book, it's stitched. So if we can find the centre of a signature. I will find it. Hey, there we go. So this is the centre of a signature. As you can see, the book itself is stitched in. So for me, I find that's really important because it keeps the books nice and sturdy when you're doing your journaling. So yeah, so main thing for me, nice stitched book, not too damaged on the binding, but a little bit of damage can always be fixed. It's not a massive issue. So yeah, so basically for this tutorial as such, you will probably need a book, a paintbrush and some form of wet glue. Now here's my Old Faithful Mod Podge. The pot looks all tatty, but it's because I buy the massive gallon bottles of Mod Podge, so I just pour it into the tub and end up with this. So they're the supplies that you'll need, which is really not a lot. So yeah, let's make a start. So for my journals, this is just how I like to do it. I basically get my book and I find the centre of the first signature, which is here. And I'm very, very pernickety about these things. Sort of count roughly how many pages there are. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 pages within that signature. I generally cut it down by half. So you find the centre of your signature. Now this picture here is stuck onto this page. So I find my signature and I get to the middle of it, pull the pages up from either side of the stitching. I generally open it, give it a bit of a wiggle, and out pops your page. And then I keep all my pages as well, because I can use them for making tags or making junk journals. There's so many different uses for the tags. So here you can see obviously their binding's a little bit rough. So what I would most likely do there is just get a bit of masking tape and just to keep that sturdy for now. It will just, yeah, so on your list of supplies you'll probably need some masking tape. But just stick that down like that, just so it's all a bit more secure. So I flip over the page and typically we have come to another signature. I'm just going to take one page out of here. So it is just a case of going through your book, going through to the signatures and pulling out a couple of pages here and there. You don't have to do this before you start on your book. It's just something I generally like to do. you can do it as you go along. You don't have to just sit here and do it all straight away. And sometimes the centres can be a little bit tricky to find, but you'll get there. Put it out this way. There we go. So this is the first bit that we will do, is just knock your signatures down by a couple of pages, 2-3 pages from each signature, depending on how big the signature itself is. The bigger the signature, the more pages I pull out, really. But that's just me, so that's how I do it. Just going to pull that one out too. So yeah, so I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me go slow-mo on pulling out every page of the signatures. I will do a little bit of a speed up for you, I think, because otherwise you're going to get really bored. So yeah, so I'll do a little speed up for you, and I will be back after that. Book, you will end up with a much thinner book. As you can see, there's been quite a lot taken out of this book, but that just makes way for space, which is what you're going to need to put your pockets, your papers, your envelopes, all your fun little bits and pieces into your journal. And you also end up with a massive stack of paper, which you can then use to make your journals, tags and pockets. So always keep what you've taken out. Well, I always do anyway. So once I've gotten to this point, I like to try and reinforce the book a little bit more. I usually do this as I go along. I'll do like a little bit now before I start my book, and then I'll carry on once I'm doing my book. But you'll see that as the process goes on. It's quite good here. It's all nice and sturdy. But this page here is a little floppy. So what I like to do is, I just like to, when there's a little bit that could do with a touch of reinforcing, like this page here, because it's a bit of a weak spot in the book, I will just slap on the old Mod Podge and stick that down. Like that. So now we've got a more sturdy page for the front of the book. And I just go through my book, and again, this one's not great. And again, I'll just stick a few pages together here and there. It just strengthens the book, so when you come around to actually doing your journal, bits of your book aren't going to fall apart or fall out or basically just fall to pieces. One thing I'll always say is, where the binding is, so where the stitched part is, don't ever stick glue the stitched part together, because it makes it so weak, because then that section can quite easily fall out on its own. And you don't want that happening particularly. So again, I could do a bit of reinforcing where my tape has been. So I just run through the book really quickly, and if I notice something that needs to be reinforced slightly, I will just reinforce it. And it makes life a bit easier when it does come to doing your journal, to be completely honest. It strengthens your pages before you even start. I mean, your pages are going to get strong anyway once you start adding different bits and pieces in, or however you like. I mean, I generally use a lot of napkins and that'll go over a double spread, so over 2 pages. So that will reinforce it anyway. But I just like to make sure that my book isn't going to fall apart on me. I used to do every 2 pages I would glue together, but I don't want to do that in this book because I like having the pictures in the book. I like them to be noticeable through whatever papers or napkins I'm using, or to even incorporate them into my journal. So I don't really want to hide up all the pictures. Again, you can see here, this is quite a weak spot. It's falling apart there. So you glue that down. And these books are pretty awesome, I must say. I'm really, really chuffed with these encyclopedias. Really chuffed. So I am just looking for the weaker spots. Like, if you can see, yeah, see here, there's a nice, well, not a nice gap, but there's a gap, and we don't really want that. So I will just stick down the page next to it so that that gap doesn't turn into anything bigger. You see, I'm not really particularly careful with my glue. I just sort of splosh it on and off we go. Also really interesting things in these books, I must say. How to make an umbrella, yeah. So again, like all these pictures, I don't want to cover them up because I like them. I think they're interesting and I want to make that part of the journal itself. So I don't want to hide them by sticking the pages together. And these pages are a little brittle, but they're not so bad that they all need to be stuck down. And there were some, as you might have seen in the speed up, there was some bits where I'd actually taken quite a chunk out of the book. But with this book, there's quite a lot of places where pictures have been glued to the actual page, or sections had been glued in. So when I tried to take out a signature, the whole lot would come with it, which is fine because it just gives me more space in the book. So I don't see that as an issue, to be honest. Trains. So I used to do every 2 pages methodically, but now I just do as and when I feel I need to. So for my journal, I'm going to be doing a sort of vintage industrial theme to it. So if you're going to be following along with all the videos, that's the type of theme I'm going for. Obviously you guys, you can do your own themes, do it your own way. I'm mainly here just for ideas and just to show you how I do my books. Instead of gutting the book completely, I just like to use the paper that's in it. But that's just my, yeah, that's going to have to be glued. That's just how I like to do it. And I like to use real books. They have a nice, they feel nice and they smell nice, and I don't know, I just find it really ergonomic to use the actual pages that came with the book. Glue everywhere. Stick that down. So all of this just helps in making the book a little bit more sturdy, bonded. Oh no, it's got glue everywhere. So yeah, so for me it's get a nice book, take some pages out, glue some pages together, and then in the next video I will show you how I start doing all my bits and pieces. I'll probably do some videos on different tags I make, clusters, envelopes, that kind of thing that I put into my journals, or different things I've found. So it'll be a full-on start to finish, this is how I do it. You don't have to do it that way. These do take a while to make because we're not just cutting up paper and sticking it in. We have to decorate right from scratch. But I love it. Absolutely love it. So all these are big pictures. So we're getting there with the book. It doesn't take too long to actually prep. When you've done it once or twice, you get used to the speed you can go at and where your signatures are. They become sort of second nature to you. Big chunky bits, so I want to keep that. So there are little pages that I haven't glued together, mainly because I like the images on the other side, but I will be able to fix that as we go through the journal. So it just makes my life a little bit easier, and it makes the journal process quicker if I go through now. If I go through now, take the pages, glue the pages, get it together a bit. It just makes the rest of the process run a little bit smoother. So, all butterflies. So I think that's pretty much, these are mainly pictures at the back here, which is nice. So I was going to jump straight to the back, and again, this is quite a nice strong page. I don't like this bit, it's all glued in a weird fashion, so I'm going to stick this together. Right, so, and that is how I prep a book. So now you'll see that the book is a lot thinner than when we originally started. It's a lot more sturdier. These pages will dry out and go solid. You might have to just run through and make sure they're not all stuck to each other. So it's just made this whole book a little bit more solid and integral than it originally was. So I'm going to close it up and let it all dry. Ooh, got a wrinkle there. Wrinkles, I don't mind, they could be part of it. So yeah, I'm going to close her up, let her all dry, and then when we come on to the next video, we'll be making a start. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and I will see you in the next video. So thank you for watching. Cheers guys, bye.